What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new custom knife that I recently acquired, and it is another Andre Thorburn knife. So real quick, I'll go ahead and jump into the specs. We have a 3 1/4 inch blade of RWL 34. It is obviously a Harpoon style blade, and it is the only Harpoon style blade that Andre Thorburn has put onto one of his exclusive flippers. So that's pretty cool. It has obviously you can see there the hand rub satin finish. Kind of a decorative top swedge, and it has a fairly high hollow grind. As far as usefulness goes, it's almost exactly the same as a drop point blade, so really great for everyday tasks. The Harpoon craze lately, I get it. I mean, it looks cool and it serves the same function as the drop point style. Sorry, that's not focusing correctly, but anyway, yeah, it serves basically the same purpose as a drop point, with a slightly stronger tip, I'm told. Not that most people are going to do much stabbing with their knife, but there you go. It has an exceptional edge. Andre usually does really well with those. You can see his maker's mark on one side and then the IKBS designation on the other. The handle length is about 4.5 inches, so we're looking at an overall length of 7 3/4 inches, which is right at about the top end of what I like my knives to be. The handles here, you can see we have a bolster that is done in polished zirconium, and then the lower parts are darkened. The artwork on the bolsters is actually done by a French artist by the name of Julian Marchel, and I think I've owned a few of these now, and I think this is probably one of my favorite. Just remarkable work, especially in a material like zirconium that is so difficult to work with. I think he did an exceptional job. You can see some of the details there, just really well done. Obviously we have some lightning strike carbon fiber on the scales with silver inlay, and it just the overall aesthetic here is incredibly beautiful. It flows really well. Titanium liners, and you can see the file work that Andre has done to the spine. Full length G10 backspacer. You can see the classic red strip between the liners and the scales that he puts on pretty much every one of his knives. The liners are polished or jeweled so that they are very reflective, like a mirror polish almost. Fit and finish is completely perfect. Centering is completely spot on. I think the pocket clip actually fits better on this one. I mentioned in the last Thorburn flipper video that I did that the pocket clip looked like it almost didn't fit correctly. I think it's probably because it was designed for a knife this size or bigger. So I think that the size of the knife definitely helps with the aesthetic of the pocket clip. Just, you know, classic titanium spring clip that he puts on all of his knives. The flipping action of this knife is incredible, and it's incredibly smooth. I don't know that I've ever really handled an Andre Thorburn flipper that wasn't something to behold. They really all are just incredible knives. The same thing with the jimping. You can see I just opened the knife using just the jimping because it's incredibly well done. You can't, if you don't really press into it, it doesn't bite your finger at all, but as soon as you apply the slightest bit of pressure, it locks your thumb in. It has some jimping done on the liners as well. I think I might actually do away with that. If it was me designing the knife, the jimping on the blade is so well done that I don't know that this really adds anything to the experience. And as far as it being a flipper and there being jimping there, I guess people could run into an issue where that kind of grates their finger while they're flipping the knife. I don't particularly run into that, but I could see that possibly being an issue for somebody else. So I might actually leave that smooth if it was me making the knife. But I'm glad it's not me making the knife, because this was made by a master. And if you ever needed any more proof that Andre Thorburn was the master, this is something that you would definitely put in favor column here. Just an amazing piece of artistry that also happens to be an amazing pocket knife as well. There is zero blade play, and yet he still manages to make it as smooth as it is, and flip as well as it does. I actually brought this particular knife with me to the recent New York Custom Knife Show, and I let some other collectors kind of play with it for a little while. And these are guys who own, you know, $10,000 custom knives, from people like R.J. Martin, you know, people or Todd Rexford. You know, they own incredibly popular and expensive knives, and they were all floored by this. And not only were they floored by the quality of the knife, but the price that goes with it. This was a little bit more expensive than the L38 that I showed you guys in a previous video. This one was actually, I think, $1,100, owing to the fact that it's an exclusive Harpoon, and then the zirconium bumps the price up as well. It's also a little bit bigger than the 38. I think this is probably, as far as size goes, this would be close to the L46 size. He's got so many different size combinations. So one L48, and then there might be an L48M. That's like actually a 3.75 inch blade, and it's a little bit confusing. So Andre he makes knives in every size range. This is obviously my favorite. Anything from 3 1/8 to 3 1/4 inch blade. That's right in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much longer about this, because it's just going to be more of the same, me telling you how amazing the knife is. There's the jimping on the flipper tab. Really well, I mean, this knife, most knives you either have to push button to get it to come out fast, or they're designed for pull down. This one is equally fun to do either way. There's the lockup, and again, zero lock stick, which that's tough to do with the titanium liner lock. That's not easy to do. So yeah, kudos again to Mr. Thorburn for making an amazing knife. I've gotten to own a few of these now, and every one is great in its own way. But they all share some characteristics. They're all incredible flippers. They're all exceptionally smooth, and they all have a really good eye for what makes an attractive pocket knife. So I know that the price point is going to exclude a lot of you, or a lot of people. But if you ever get the chance to own something made by Andre Thorburn, I would definitely jump on that. He makes an exceptional knife every time, or at least every time that I've ever held one, and I've held quite a few. So, all right, guys, take it easy. I will catch you on the next video.